What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today, I want to talk to you guys about something that's been revealed to us in Boruto Chapter 74, which is the fact that after Amado confirmed to us months ago that he had an ulterior motive for Kawaki, something that was a personal investment to him, we finally have confirmation that the major reveal is finally at hand. In Boruto Chapter 74, which officially comes out tomorrow, Naruto sits Amado down in the interrogation room and tells Amado, enough with the games. It's time for you to answer all my questions truthfully, and Naruto doesn't look like the type to have a lot of patience for Amado right now. However, how does this set up or change the narrative going forward, and what are the three things that could be revealed by Amado about Amado? Well, let's jump right into this video, and to start things out, we have to first look at how Amado has placed all these pieces in play over the span of several months so we can look at what his true motives are. I think it's safe to say that the Amado reveal is something that a lot of fans have been waiting to see, because from the moment he showed up in Konoha, the man has been reeking of being sus, of being an unreliable narrator, and for really good reason. Anyone with the patience to sit there and make an elaborate plan to betray the vessel of an Otsutsuki who even Kage didn't feel comfortable fighting head on, this isn't someone whose bad side you want to be on. But Amado was able to construct multiple plans to bring down Jigen and eventually Ishiki, from first making normal humans into cyborgs whose power level went above Jigen's power level, likely with the intent of having the cyborgs gang up on Jigen, kill Jigen, and then make a united stand against Ishiki, hoping that the number advantage of several people with power levels above Jigen might be enough to outlast Ishiki until his life force ran out or he outright died, especially when you factor in somebody like Damon, who, if he's fighting in a group setting, all he has to do is just touch any of those other cyborgs and Ishiki's attacks will be reflected back on a Jigen stronger than before. This is why Jigen ordered Amado to destroy all those innocent people he turned into cyborgs, but when this happened, he proceeded to make the plan to systematically bring down Kar from the inside, right underneath Jigen's nose. He also made the plan to slow down Kawaki's karma extraction and eventually succeed in his goal of killing Jigen and eventually Ishiki. However, Naruto and company have now realized that even before Amado had accomplished his plan to bring down Jigen and eventually Ishiki, he'd already been planning several steps ahead in order to gain leverage over Konoha, and Naruto in particular. After Kashi and Koji killed Jigen, Kawaki's karma seal went away, and while Naruto and Sasuke were struggling to stay alive against Ishiki, Amado had been making subtle suggestions for Kawaki, choosing to make a play on Kawaki's helplessness and his obvious desire to protect Naruto. Over the next few months, well after Ishiki's death had happened, Amado would take the time where he did the maintenance on the ninja tech inside of Kawaki to plant subtle suggestions into his mind, all while restoring the karma seal onto Kawaki against his will. In Amado's mind, he feels it's justified, because if Kawaki never wanted the power of the karma, he would never have awakened that power. In Amado's mind, he didn't do anything that Kawaki himself didn't want. However, Amado knew that by pissing off Kawaki after he had to dream about Code and asking him on purpose if he had another nightmare about Jigen beating him, it would emotionally stir up Kawaki to a point where he could be manipulated due to Kawaki being pushed back into a darker period of his life and when Kawaki was most vulnerable for manipulation. He then went on to tell Kawaki that if Naruto were to fight Code right now, he believed that Naruto would die in the battle against Code, though he gave himself an out by saying he can't calculate Naruto's power level now that he's lost to Nine Tails, but if he had to bet, he would lose. Amado knew just by implying that he thought Naruto could lose, that it was a possibility given to Kawaki by someone who makes calculated decisions, that it would prey on Kawaki's need and desire to protect Naruto, which in turn would make him do something stupid, which is exactly what Amado had been hoping for, and it's why once he learned Kawaki left the village in an attempt to save Naruto from Code attacking, he stated he didn't want Kawaki to screw this up, because in his mind, he'd already made the calculation that this would be the route that Kawaki took, especially once it became clear that Naruto was ultimately going to chase after him, and that Amado could calculate on this because he understands human emotions, and in turn, since he understands human emotions, he can manipulate people into doing what he wants. That led to Kawaki awakening his karma seal and an awakening even stronger than before, which led to Momoshiki making the same conclusion that Shikamaru and Ada did. Amado was clearly using Kawaki, but Momoshiki took it a step further by warning him that if he continued to get used, he would end up being eaten by the Ten Tails and be used for a chakra fruit. Since then, we've learned that Amado has a shutdown sequence for Kawaki that only he can control, which means he can control Kawaki in effect, and he's managed to get a temporary alliance with Ada and Damon upon returning to Konoha, giving him more leverage over the situation. However, for a man who thinks 5 steps ahead, what is his end game? Well, looking back at the responses that we've had in the community, as well as having looked back at all of Amado's steps that we have here, I picked 3 that I believe have the biggest potential impact on the story, and I want us as a community to weigh in on these. So starting with number 1, this one should be familiar to a lot of you guys who watch the channel. Number 1 is going to be Amado's dead daughter. As some of you guys might recall, once Amado's name was revealed to us, I made a video breaking down the mythology behind his last name and how the mythology ties into the information we have about Amado's character. Amado's last name is Sanzu, which is a reference to the Sanzu no Kawa in Japanese Buddhist relief, which Masashi Kishimoto draws a lot on for his story references, his designs, and even the jutsu powers of some of your favorite characters. So as to not repeat all that information that I did in that video, I'll keep my explanation brief as I explain to you the importance of the Sanzu no River for you. So the river is believed to be the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead, and the dead have to cross that river where judgment is passed by the beings of the afterlife. You have the kings of hell and you have Shozuka no Baba. However, you also have the Sai no Kawara, which is where children who died too early cross over into the afterlife while being guided by Jizo, who helps their souls avoid the demons of hell. In Japan, one of the northern mountains, Mount Osor, is believed to be the location of the river and by extension the entrance to the underworld itself. Amado having the last name of a river where children who died too early should start to make a lot of sense to you guys as you think about the story, given Amado stated he had a daughter who died 12 years ago. While we don't know the exact age of this child, let's look at what we do know. Amado, while working for Jigen, was forced to conduct experiments on children to see who would be compatible with Ishiki's karma due to Jigen being a defect vessel. We haven't seen all those children yet. The only 2 that we've seen have been Code and Kawaki, but what we do know is that they tended to be quite young, since Kawaki was abducted by Jigen when he himself was a small child. Jigen promised Amado that his dream would come true if they cultivate a chakra fruit, and that dream might have something to do with his dead daughter. As I said before, if Amado reveals his daughter was one of the children who died during those experiments for the karma, or even the ninja tech that he placed inside of the car inners, which due to having Hashirama cells at their base, still killed a good number of people, which we know to be the case, since Garo stated that he and Kawaki underwent the same operation, but Garo's body rejected the ninja tech, and so he lost his limbs, and he said that others died as a result, which made him think that Kawaki would have died since he's a small child, but Kawaki escaped unaffected, which, as we all know, really pissed off Garo. The idea of a man feeling guilty for the death of his child could be seeking to make things right, and Kawaki's karma might be the key to doing so, which might explain why he has such a personal investment in Kawaki as a character. Now, the second thing that we have to look at is some people said Amado secretly wants to cultivate the chakra fruit for himself. That doesn't seem as crazy when you think about it, given we've seen Victor try to recreate the god tree and the artificial chakra fruit by using Hashirama cells that he stole. The fact that Orochimaru himself took one look at what Victor did and stated humans had no business to try messing around with something like the chakra fruit leads me to believe that someone as curious as Orochimaru would have ran tests to see what the effects of the chakra fruit might be and potentially discovered the downsides and stopped his pursuit of it. Because even Orochimaru knows that there are some doors that shouldn't be open. And we know based off of the manga as well as the light novels that Orochimaru has done a lot of research into the Sasuke, tracing things back to the era of the Sage's Six Paths. So it's not crazy that if he went back that far, he found something about the chakra fruit. Whereas Orochimaru looked into the Otsutsuki behind the scenes, Amado had the benefit of living within the Otsutsuki vessel and had access to the knowledge, and at his heart, he's a man of science, which means that when he has a hypothesis behind something, he has to test it out because that's his itch. And his mind is always curious to the why answer behind whatever what problem is in front of him. Would it be crazy that Amado decided to remove the people pursuing the chakra fruit in order for him to claim it for himself, for whatever reason it might be? It is possible, especially if he viewed the chakra fruit as being something that gets him closer to his dream, much like Jigen stated, but it comes down to what is that dream that gives him a motive that high. When you factor in Momoshiki's suspicions of Amado and his warning to Kawaki that if he kept getting himself used by others, he would eventually get fed to the Ten Tails, there's a line that you could draw towards this, that Amado wants the chakra fruit for himself. While I personally am not a huge fan of this idea, and I personally think his motives lean more so towards his dead daughter, there could be something to this, but it's going to depend on how it's executed, whether or not this is a good idea or not. Now, the third and final point we're going to look at here for this topic has had quite a bit of search data behind it when I look into my analytics, which is the question of whether or not Amado is Otsutsuki or serving another Otsutsuki, like say the two missing Otsutsuki pairs. Now, to be clear, I don't think Kaguya is his daughter like a lot of people believe, simply because the timeline doesn't add up if you believe what Amado said. Kaguya was defeated 16 years ago, and Amado stated his daughter died 12 years ago, meaning she would have died when Boruto was still an infant, and at the very latest around the time that Hinata was pregnant with Himawari, who, as a reminder, is only 2 years younger than Boruto. However, the idea of Amado being Otsutsuki has been around from the moment the man began narrating the truth about karma, and the Otsutsuki filling us with so much knowledge that fans said he's either completely full of it and making it up as he goes and slipping in half-truths, or he has to be an Otsutsuki for knowing as much as he does. Now that we know that karma can be placed on multiple people at the same time, and those who have karma get their genetics overridden despite they themselves maintaining a human-like appearance, some have theorized that Amado might have had the karma before, and once his Otsutsuki died, the karma went away, but like Kawaki, his genetics remained the same. That was how he was able to make his hypothesis that when Jigen died, Kawaki's karma would go away. And the reason he said even he didn't know what was going to happen next is due to the fact that this was only a hypothesis based on what happened. Amado does have some red flags for being something more than what he appears, especially when you consider that Masashi Kishimoto has blended in characteristics of the Meinojaku, a Japanese folklore creature known for stealing the skin of children, which at times has been depicted as a fox, and Amado has been called a fox several times. However, this remains to be seen if this is the route it goes. Again, I think it's more so with the daughter, but we'll see how this shakes out. If he is Otsutsuki, whether it be an Otsutsuki taking on the appearance of a human or Otsutsuki via a form of karma seal, one thing we do know is that this would explain quite a bit. I'm personally not as high on this line of thinking as I have been in the past, but if this does happen, I'm not going to be mad at it. However, given the timing of this next chapter, which for those of you guys who don't know, for Shonen Jump and a lot of manga, for the purposes of the November month, it tends to be the last month used to count manga sales during the calendar year, with December and Jump Festa being used as the start of the next round of manga sales. November tends to be a month where you see potential zingers or shifts so that a manga has excitement going into the month of December and eventually Jump Festa. It's possible we learned something about Amado in the next chapter, which would come out in November, that sets the final piece of the foundation for his character moving forward, where he's either going to be an aid to the protagonist of the story, or he's going to be built up as a long-term villain to be addressed after you have the threat of Code, Ada, Damon, and Momoshiki being addressed. However, my question to you guys is, which of these do you think is the most likely? What do you think is Amado's true motive? While you think that over, click here to watch my Chainsaw Man Chapter 107 review, or click here to watch this video from Naruto Explained.